Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room. My name is Lewis, and today I am joined by first timers here on the channel, Dean and Jacob. It's going to be a laugh today. We're going to go over the Brentford game coming up tomorrow at 2 p.m. at home at Anfield, and we're just going to talk about anything that you guys want to ask in the comments. So please make sure to drop them in, and we'll get them in at the end. And also remember to like and subscribe. We're so close to 10k subscribers. The aim is to get there by the new year. I think we're on 9.8 or something really close like that. So we just got to make it happen. But first off, Dean, Jacob, how's everyone doing?
Yeah, sound mate. Bit nervous about tomorrow, but we'll get on to that.
Yeah, we'll get on to that. We've got plenty to talk about. Starting off, I mean, as I say, today is mainly a match preview. We're just going to be discussing Brentford. Dean, I'll put it to you first. Just, can you give us your opinion on the Toulouse game? How do you feel about that? It's been a few days now.
Well, the overriding sense is for all of us frustrating, isn't it? To bounce back from that disappointing Luton result, and the second string team basically just didn't perform. But more concerningly, the lads who came on didn't perform either. We're just like disjointed, and it just adds to more concerns going into the weekend, making it a must win for performance reasons and results reasons.
And I mean, Jacob, would you agree with that? Would you say that was a second string team the other day? There was a few first teamers in there. Matip was in there. Tsimikas started. McAllister. Would you say that was a second string team, or do you think that was sort of a mix of both, but it just didn't tactically? It just didn't work.
Yeah, I do think it was like a healthy mix of both. Obviously, we had Kwanzaa coming in as well, so I think it was a good, like, obviously Matip starting, Kwanzaa starting. So I think like the centre backs, then obviously Tsimikas has been our starting left back because Robertson's been injured. So there was a few like starting players in there. I think it's a bit like to say it was like full on, like we can't say it was full strength. We can't say it was like full like C team, full resting players. So it was a kind of a healthy mix. Obviously we had Sal on the bench, we had Nunes on the bench, we had Jota on the bench. You know, we still had a good few. Obviously Bento getting some minutes, but yeah, I think it was a good healthy mix of both really.
So Jacob, I'll keep it on you then for now. Where do you think it went wrong? What do you think was the big flaw in that game against Toulouse, who arguably we should have been beaten? I mean, we thrashed them a few weeks ago in the home game. So where did it go wrong against them?
I think we haven't always been great away from home in Europe. I've said this many times, and I was lucky enough to be there. I was in the ground. I was sat in the home end, and I was like straight away. I was like, this could go wrong tonight. I think it was one of them where it was like a huge occasion for them. You know, obviously we're one of the biggest clubs in the world. So they were obviously going to give 110% on the pitch. The crowd was behind them 100%. So I think obviously we were kind of doomed. It was obviously it's kind of like it's one of their cup finals, you know. But then at the same time we look rattled, you know. And there's times where you got to go to places like that. You can't be rattled, otherwise the Cavs just get on top of you. And then, you know, they scored 3 goals, and then they scored one on Anfield, beat them 5-1 on Anfield, and then next thing you know we're 2-0 down. So I think obviously that played a big part. Obviously, Endo wasn't great. Tsimikas was poor. Yeah, I think so. I think the players we did need to step up didn't really step up, and I think again we were rattled. So I think kind of our poor European away atmosphere, performances followed by a few key players not performing. I think that's really, you know, where we went wrong today, Thursday. Yeah. Sorry.
And Dean, I mean, would you agree with that? Like, we all saw the video of the Toulouse fans going through Liverpool Central, you know, going bouncing along with the drums and everything. They, you know, as fans go, they looked really, really up for it. I mean, would you agree? Do you think it was a case of just certain players didn't turn up on the day, or do you think there is also something a bit extra to it tactically that cost us the game?
I think literally a bit of anything that could have gone wrong literally went wrong. Yeah. Like say the second string, the backup lads did not take their chance at all. But systematically, I thought it was the midfield that really let us down. That component of the system is vital to how we play. And when we have played well this season, we've had an aggressive physical midfield as well as a mix of technical ability. We didn't have any of that, especially in the first half. We weren't aggressive. We let them dominate the midfield, and then we just caused errors at the back. It made them isolate Tsimikas, which led to the first goal. While Endo got bombarded, second to every challenge. It's just a bit of a concern, really. Like I said, we'll get onto it with the Brentford game. We were missing Gravenberch. We were missing Sabozlai. I know he came on second half, but it was already swinging the wrong way then. We're already being dominated, too far gone. So I think unless we get that physical presence back mixed in with the technicality and the ability of the other lads, we're going to have that a very good few times this season where teams just come onto us, especially away from home, and we're going to struggle.
And you touched on it there. You said the physical presence. I mean, Endo and Costas were poor. They definitely were the two worst arguably on the pitch. Endo was brought in maybe not as to be a very physical player. I think he was just sort of brought in for the experience at this point, let's face it. But are you sort of, and Dean, I'm keeping it with you, do you think Gravenberch now has come in and he's trying to fulfill that Wijnaldum role of being a physical player who's more sort of box to box, sort of, so to speak? Like, is that where you think we just could have done with having that key player in midfield in the midweek?
Like we had this with some of Klopp's old teams, especially in Wijnaldum at times, where he got the ball, he was very physical, winning the ball back, but he'd pass it sideways. Whereas Gravenberch could be the next level version of that, passing the ball forward, being progressive with the ball, both with his feet and passing it forward. He's so strong, so physical, so aggressive, and he's quite fast as well. It's what we need. This is probably what Klopp has identified before. He was obviously on a list, a very small list, when he wanted to do many in the past. And they really see what he can do, the potential he has, and we've already had glimpses of it. And the only downside to that is once it's taken out of the team, you see what we're missing. And I think, who was it started in midfield with Endo? Was it Elliott and
McAllister?
McAllister. McAllister and Elliott, very, very technical. Not your 6 foot plus absolute monsters in midfield. But there isn't many of them around, to be fair, as we noticed when we lost Wijnaldum. So we've got to try to find a balance when them lads aren't playing, maybe change the system or change the tactics of some sort when we have got the technical midfield to change the game slightly, because otherwise that's going to be repeating, especially away from home, like I said.
And Jacob, one last question, sort of before we move on to the Brentford game, which is the big one, of course, this weekend. Jamie has asked, does the panel feel that Diaz saga took some energy out of the club? I mean, I personally don't think it did, but I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that had any sort of anything to do with it, or no, just what's your overall feeling on that?
I don't think it took energy out of the club. Obviously, I think obviously it was bound to obviously take energy out of Diaz, obviously because it's his family and stuff like that. So, obviously losing Diaz it is kind of a tricky one because he's really helping that left side. He's really good at going forward. He's on the ball. He's incredible on the ball. So, in terms of losing Diaz wise, obviously it's taking the energy out of the squad. Out of the club, I wouldn't really say because it it's off the field events regarding the player, not really in the club circumstances. But in terms of squad wise, absolutely, because losing Diaz was obviously very unfortunate, and he came back into the squad, got the goal against Luton, obviously, and I think he was one of our brighter players. Obviously on Thursday night, I think he was very good going forward. I think he's very unlucky, but I do think he was one of the brighter ones that night.
I mean, I absolutely agree. And I mean, I think when Diaz comes in, he offers something very different to Jota, where he's a lot more direct. I'm personally in the thing at the moment that I do think Jota should be the starting left wing just because I think he's performed a bit better, but we'll get onto that shortly in a moment. Once also, guys, for the end of this episode, obviously we're just talking about the Brentford game, but because we have two new starters here today, get your questions in for these guys, for Dean and Jacob. Is there anything you want to learn about them, anything you want to ask, what their opinions are and things, or just general questions, let us know and we'll get to them at the end. And please also remember to like and subscribe. Now, Brentford. So Brentford, we all know what they are. They're one of these teams that can come up and beat pretty much anyone on their day. City have suffered from it. Arsenal have suffered from it. We've suffered from it. Brentford currently are ninth in the Premier League. They're on a 3-game winning streak, includes Burnley, Chelsea, and West Ham. I mean, Dean, we can't go into this in any way underestimating Brentford's ability in the way that we probably did against Luton. I mean, is this one that we need to be looking at as a really serious test?
Oh, of course. Brentford have caused us many problems, especially obviously away from home, but they've caused us a few headaches at Anfield before, and we're going to face the similar headaches we had with Toulouse in a sense. They're going to be aggressive in the midfield. They're going to want to counter-attack us with the obvious danger men they've got in Burmo and Visser. But quick question, is Norgard playing? Is he fit? Sorry. He was a doubt. Have you had any news on that?
Look for you. I can have a look for you, yeah.
Because there is a significant difference when he's not playing. He controls their midfield. He sits in front of that back line.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. I mean, from what I understand, there's no on the news recently. There's nothing been reported of him, so I can only assume he's still injured at the moment.
No, because like I said, with the midfield, when he's played, their points per game ratio has been a lot higher because he has been that important, just as important as like you and Burmo. Not so much in an attacking sense, but in terms of control, defensive. You know what I mean? So that's going to cause issues. But obviously, we're going to be more worried about, from a personal point of view, is in Burmo and if Tsimikas plays or if Gomez plays. To be honest, you know what I mean? But it's turned into a must-win, in my opinion. This has must-win on it.
I completely agree. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I completely agree. It is a must-win game, and like you said, if Brentford are a very physical team, and you made the good point there of if Tsimikas or Gomez are in that left-back position, you know, we're really going to struggle. And Jacob, what's your thoughts with regards to the left-back position? Obviously, Tsimikas came off after 45 minutes. He was dreadful against Toulouse. But, you know, unfortunately, at the moment, he's still our best left back. Would you be sticking with him, or would you be playing Gomez, or maybe even Luke Chambers for that game tomorrow?
Honestly, I would play Gomez. I would give Gomez a go at left back. I think we've tried him there a few times. He came on there a few times against like certain teams. I think if I'm wrong, he did play left back against Luton, or was that right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
When he played left back against Luton, yeah.
And
even then, he was okay against Luton. He looked okay at left back. That's a good thing about him. He can play anywhere across the back line. He can play right back, centre back. He can do a shift at left back. So I think because of his versatility in the back line, and I think obviously we played him there a few times now, where he can kind of like get used to the position, get used to, you know, he's got the pace. Like I think obviously with Mbuemo, with Wissa, they've got the speed to like to run in behind the defence and that and go down that left side. So I think we're using Gomez's physicality, his strength, and his speed against them. I think, you know, they won't be able to go down that left side. So I would 100% give him that spot at left back tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'll keep it with you then, Jacob. Really quick, sorry. Oh, sorry, Dean. Did you have some? Did you want to jump in there? Or?
No, I fully agree with what you're saying with regards to physicality at left back. Because, like saying, Burma's going to be down that right hand side. We'll need more defensive awareness. You can't get barged off the ball. As weak as Tsimikas lost the ball on Thursday, we can't be having that. So I fully agree with Jacob with Gomez starting.
Now, I think my only thing I sort of have with that, I agree with the physicality and the defensive aspect of it. Gomez is the better choice, and Jacob, I'll keep it with you because obviously I asked you the question. With Gomez at left back, does that not limit our creative options, so to speak? So obviously Gomez on his left foot, he's not a crosser of the ball like Tsimikas is, and then we're limited to sort of Trent being the creative provider. Does that not then give Brentford the idea of take Trent out the game, you take all the creativity out of the game for Liverpool?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously going forward, Gomez obviously can't create as much as Tsimikas can. Tsimikas, he's great at crossing the ball in. I think he's great at creating stuff going forward as well, like as a Trent. But I think that's the beauty with this midfield now, is that I think we can get more creativity out of the midfield rather than using the wingers. So obviously we've got Szoboszlai, we've got McAllister at times if he goes forwards when he's not the 6, when he's in the 8 or the 10. So we have got. I feel like we have got more creativity going forward now throughout the midfield in case, obviously, Trent was to be taken out of the game, and obviously Gomez is starting the left back. So I think obviously it's we're losing a bit more creative spark through Tsimikas, but I think we have also now the midfield to do so. Whereas say last year, we had Henderson, we had Fabinho, we had Milner, etc. We had players like that. But I think now obviously we've got more creativity in the midfield throughout the midfield to say obviously if they've got Trent out the game, let's play through Szoboszlai, let's play through McAllister. So obviously, yeah, we're losing on the left, we're losing Tsimikas, we're losing his, but then at the same time, I feel like we've got more stability at the back with Gomez. So it's just that if we want to take the risk, if we want to obviously use the midfield more, which I do think obviously we'd be able to do, but I would obviously I'd sacrifice that just to get more stability at the back, especially after watching that, on Thursday, 100%.
Well, I mean, Dean, this leads into the next question I've got for you. I mean, someone suggested Joe in for Trent and Trent moving to midfield. Lots of talk about Trent in midfield this week. I mean, realistically, is Brentford the time to be not gambling, because we know what Trent can do in midfield, but is this the game to be moving him into midfield?
I think we've got too many. Well, we've got a lot of changes happened already anyway because of injuries and suspensions. I think making a systematic change in this type of game could be dangerous because you're going to move into midfield and then you're going to be asking Gomez to do the inverted role. Because if you're not going to ask him to do inverted, you're going to be traditional, changing the system with different personnel. It could be chaos, absolute chaos, and I wouldn't agree with that. The only other caveat you could say, maybe put Trent at the right-sided 8, but once again, you're changing the system because, well, the whole way we play is around Trent to a point. The whole reason we play inverted fullback is for him. And to go over 3 or 4 months of training in this system to change it for this game, I don't think it's wise. I think it's best to stick with what we know, especially with what personnel we've got available.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, do you agree? Do you agree with that? Do you think that this is just not the game to be testing this? I mean, we know Trent can move as that inverted playmaker role, but obviously we go to a 3 at the back. Is this really the game to be moving him into a full-time midfielder and having Gomez at right back, or stick with what we know at the moment?
No, 100% Dean was right. This is absolutely not the game to be testing stuff out. I think that's the joys with being in Europa, being in the cup competitions. We've got them extra games to try them out. But using obviously it is a must-win game. Like it's a must-win game, so we can't be trying things out. We can't be completely changing the formation, the system, which to be honest has worked most of the season. I think Trent himself already plays as a midfielder from the right back, from his inverted. So I think kind of a way he does already plays a midfielder. So I think to test it out in a game like this, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it'd be wise. I think it's a massive gamble, it's a massive risk, and I just don't think it'll pay off myself. So I think we use the Europa, I think we use the Carabao, the FA, whatever competitions we're still in, I think we kind of use them to experiment with the system, experiment with the formation, try new things out. So tomorrow's game is absolutely not.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, and people need to remember as well. After this international break, our first game back is against Man City, so we need to be able to go into that game with the idea that if we win, we can go ahead of them or level them. If we go into this game with a bit of a margin between us and they beat us in 2 weeks' time, suddenly they're 6 or 7 points clear. And against City, that's just not, the odds of catching that are just really, really slim.
Exactly.
But I mean, a bit on Brentford, things seem to have clicked for them a bit this season. Like if we look, like I said, they've won 3 in a row. They seem to have sort of found their groove again. They've switched to a bit of a 4-3-3 formation. And, when we've played Brentford in the past, it was last season, I believe it was, they beat us, was it 3-0, something
3-0,
daft like
yeah.
that? I mean, yeah. So, and we've had the 3-3 draw. It's very much when we play Brentford, it's just who can score more kind of thing. A bit of a Michael Owen quote there, but Dean, Do you see Brentford going for this? Do you think they're going to look at us and think this is a Liverpool team who are sort of not weaker at the moment, but they smell blood? Do you think they're going to get at us, or do you think this is going to be a case of because we're at Anfield, they're going to sit back, try and soak up pressure, and hit us on the counter like Luton did?
I think we'll be sitting there in the meeting at the start of the week, and they go, "Look, we've won the last 3 games. Well, the ninth, did you say?
The ninth currently, yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, well, we'll go for it. They might play on the counter because they did that against Chelsea. They did it well. They won 2-0, I think, away from home. And look, we're not in the greatest of forms. We're in a bit of a blip. They'll have some confidence that they can quieten the crowd down. They've got the danger man. We've got some obvious weaknesses at the moment through personnel reasons. From a Brentford point of view, why wouldn't you go for it? Why wouldn't you be confident? That's the concerning part. So that we've got to be wary of that. That could also play in the hands. Could they be overconfident? Could we play through that? But from the outside looking in, you're going, this is a good time to play Liverpool just because of the personnel problems. And like I say, with the City debating who's going to be playing left back, and you're playing against a mid-table side, that's the concerning part. Who's going to be playing left back? Who's going to be playing left back at home to Brentford? And if you're a Brentford fan, you're sitting there going, well, they're concerned about that. And even from a Brentford player point of view, they'll target that and they'll go for it.
I think you're spot on. And Jacob, we've touched, like Dean just said there, we spoke about left back, we spoke about right back, we've touched briefly on midfield. And there's an interesting comment. The pivotal point for every team that want to break a counter-attack team is to have a strong midfield where the number 6 position is the most important. Now, obviously, we've touched on Endo. He's not adapting very well. He has his moments, like against Leicester, like against Union SG. But in the league, he's not really started. Now, Klopp did come out earlier today and say Endo will definitely start games in the Premier League. Do you see him starting tomorrow? And if not, how do we sort of correct this number 6 issue just to get through this game against Brentford?
I don't see him starting tomorrow personally. I think because he started Thursday night, I don't see him starting tomorrow. I know obviously Klopp came out and said that, but I think with this being from starting Thursday night, did he play the full 90 Thursday or did he come off
half time once?
He came off, yeah.
Came off a half. Oh, yeah. So that's if he came off a half time, then maybe he might start tomorrow. But yeah, obviously it is a big one with the counter attack. You do need your 6 to prevent the counter attack situations, and that's why obviously I think Fabinho was good at times. Obviously there's times where he hit and miss, but there was times where he was very good at stopping, and that's why it led to my point before about the left back situation, where obviously if we've got Tsimikas going forward, we'll just get hit on the counter straight away. So I think having Gomez at that left back will obviously help, but also having that 6 to break up the counter attack, I think and from what I've seen from Endo for Japan for in the bits of Bundesliga, he is very physical and he's not afraid to, obviously what he's been for us for now. Obviously he gets stuck in, he hits them, and I think that is what we will need. Obviously not like a straight booking straight away, but someone who's not afraid to go to ground and someone's not afraid to get stuck in, because he's going to need to. He's not the quickest. Obviously, in Weimar and Wissa will run him. So you've got to be prepared to win the ball, to try and get to the ball first rather than just getting it knocked past him. So now that I've found out that he came off at half time, I do think he'll start tomorrow. And I've just completely changed
everything. Yeah. No, I mean, look, I feel bad for Endo in a sense, but there's a lot of people who are making the sort of, Klopp mentioned that Robertson had to get up to speed. Paul said that Fabinho didn't set the world on fire. But the difference is Fabinho came in when he was, 24? Robertson's came in when he was 22, 23. And there's 31. Like, he's come into a very quick league, and he was playing for a team who got relegated from the Bundesliga. And I'm not, there's good players who come from relegated teams who are good players. We signed Robertson from Hull, of course, but there's a different circumstance with Fabinho and Endo, and as much as I'd love it to work, I just can't really see it. I mean, Dean, same sort of question to you: is Endo going to be playing against Brentford, or do you agree? I mean, surely we need, as much as McAllister isn't the number 6 we need, surely it's better to have him there than it is Endo because of the pace and, like Jacob said, Wissa and Embuemo with their speed.
Well, in regards to the Brentford game, we haven't got any other options, have we? We've got no other number 6s, have we? So he's going to have to play. You can't play without a 6. That is football suicide. Well, in regards to McAllister, he's just better on the ball, better in terms of interceptions. He's just not as physical. I think that's why away from home, we do struggle with McAllister, because you're going to have big units coming at you, overrunning you, and that's where he struggles when we played Wolves. I know that was after an international break. When we played Wolves away, he struggled. When he played against Toulouse, we struggled. And there was a couple of others away from home, and he wasn't great. But at home, when we've got the ball, we've got the possession, we're up the pitch, he's played better. Now, I've been Anfield a couple of times with the Europa game and the Leicester game you mentioned in regards to Endo. Can't remember. I think it was the Leicester game. It was like 20 odd minutes in. Klopp dragged Endo over to the touchline and and he spoke into his ear. And all of a sudden, he was more aggressive. He got into him. The challenges were better. I think he's sitting off more, trying to be a bit more like you. I'm not going to sound silly, but you Xabi Alonso. Do I have to ping the ball out? Do I have to, you know what I mean? Do I have to be a bit more like McAllister? But no, just sit there, get into challenges, break up the play. And he did. He excelled that. Yes, I know it's Leicester, obviously championship side, but a good one at that. He performed. So that's what we'll need him to do tomorrow. But the argument is he going to have the physical attributes, the pace to get close to Brentford on the counter attack? That's going to be the concern. But that's where we'll need to be up the pitch, control the game, keep them pressed in. And that's where obviously the other 2 8s will play. And obviously that's where you'll need your left back and your right back to squeeze in as well. So I go back to the original point. Who else would there be? We haven't got anybody. So he has to play and he has to perform.
So I forgot he was suspended. Yeah, I forgot he was suspended.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Otherwise, it'd be McAllister.
I myself.
Did you?
I completely forgot me.
That made me feel a whole lot nervous.
No one said once I asked the question, oh, by the way, he's suspended. I could have done with that before you carried on. It's all right. But you know what? We'll move on. I mean, there's a lot of people saying Badge Titch might be the answer. I don't think he's quite fit, but I agree. I think Badge Titch would really be good in a Brentford game just to match them. It's like Henderson was never the best ball player, but he was an athlete. And there's some games where you need that. And I think Badge Titch maybe is that type of player that we could have done with tomorrow.
I agree.
Wataru Endo, Harvey Elliott, and Dominic Szoboszlai will start tomorrow if not something very special happens. I mean, I don't personally see Elliott starting. I think Curtis Jones might maybe get the game more than anyone. Is he? He's back now, isn't he? Oh, is he?
No, City game. We're literally down to 4 midfielders at most. This is the worrying part.
Oh no!
I thought he was fine. I didn't.
No.
Things keep popping up now.
Yeah, he said Gravenberg might be ready, which I'm praying he is. Curtis Jones will be back, but definitely after the international break for the City game. So that's what he said on his Toulouse press conference.
Okay, so I mean, if we're limited for choice, then I mean, okay, Jacob, I'll put to you because apparently, if I say Klopp, for all I know, he could be dead, and I just don't know it. Who's that midfield free? Who starts in midfield for you then? Given that everyone who's out and everyone who's not fit and ready,
I think it'll have to be that one, won't it? It'll have to be Elliott, Szoboszlai, and Endo. Really, I think Elliott's offered a lot when he came on off the bench. It's just now whether can he do it when he's starting. I think it's Szoboszlai's just Szoboszlai's absolutely unreal, and then Endo now there's no McAllister. I think now he has to, like, otherwise it's it's a bit of a tricky one. But I do think it has to be that midfield really. Elliott and Szoboszlai going forward, and then Endo sitting as the 6. But yeah, I think that midfield, and I do think that's a decent enough midfield. Obviously Elliott isn't very like physical, but he's tricky. He can swing them in. Obviously, you got that. He put in some nice balls against Luton, and we were just unfortunate not to score. And was he the one who put the ball in for Diaz, or was that?
It was Elliott,
Yeah, that was a good.
Yeah.
That was a great ball. So yeah, even then he's good at swinging them in. So and then so I think that midfield 3 has to be Elliott, Szoboszlai, and Endo for sure.
I mean, I've seen a lot of comment, and we've already discussed Trent being in number 6. Go back and watch that one. I know you were a bit late to the stream, but he's a regular, so we'll let him off with that. And this one's actually Gakpo can play in midfield. I mean, that's true. Necessarily, it's not his best position, but if we have to put him there, he has played there a few times, so that is something that we could do. And I personally thought Gakpo was going to start against Brentford anyway. I did that in the prediction video on the channel if everyone wants to check that out. But I mean, Dean, Gakpo starting obviously would offer that little bit extra in midfield, being the deep lying false 9. But is this a game where Nunez should be starting? I know he missed his chances against Luton, but he's still getting chances. He's still putting himself in the right positions. Do you think it's Nunez's game, or should Gakpo be starting?
100%. Put the house on it. Nunez has to start. The difference in this side when Nunez does not start, it's stark. Yeah. It really is. What the games I've watched would have been at the Villa game, even though we stormed it, we were 2-0 up. We come off, we put Jota and Gakpo on in that game. For the last 20 minutes, we were terrible. Hardly did anything. Wolves, first half, Jota and Gakpo, because the international break, were not great. Nunez come on, we caused issues. It's crazy, just the drop off. Considering last season when Gakpo was playing, he was played really well. The system suited him, but we didn't have a midfield last season, so he was dropping into midfield, making things work. We have a midfield now, and the concerning thing is, I really do like Cody Gakpo, but I don't know where he fits in anymore because this false 9 doesn't really suit us at the moment, and he's not a midfielder in my eyes. He is a wildcard option for Sunday. But I don't see his long-term future in midfield either. So he doesn't suit the left wing. He doesn't suit the false 9 at the moment. I'm concerned for him. I don't know where he fits in.
When we signed Gakpo, admittedly, I was a bit sort of like, do we need him?
Yeah.
I was a bit like, I remember just watching TV and it popped up on my phone and I was like, oh, I could have sworn United were getting him. I mean, Jacob, I'm agreeing with Dean to an extent. Does Gakpo have a set position? I've said this before on like Redmen and stuff. I don't see him having a sort of defined role. Do you agree with that?
I honestly, if you'd asked me when we signed him where he plays, couldn't name it. If you'd asked me now where he plays, still couldn't name it. I think he plays because he's about 6'2", isn't he? He's about 6'2".
Yeah.
And like he's kind of an ideal forward. He's quick, he's decent on the ball, and he's huge, so he can win the headers. Whereas on the left wing, you've got someone who's 6'2" on the left wing, like it's kind of a bit like. And then the midfield, like he's played midfield, and I can't lie, I don't think he's been great in the midfield. Yeah, I know people have said he can play midfield. I don't think he's been great in midfield. So I don't see his set position. But if I had to say his set position, it probably would be like a false 9 because he had that purple patch when he first signed, didn't he? He scored when he got his first goal against Everton. He went on on a run and just scored a lot of goals. Obviously, he got the one against United, got the one against Everton. So I do think he probably like a false 9, a forward, rather than like a midfielder or a winger.
I mean, like Paul says, he's an ideal false 9. The problem is we don't play a false 9 since Firmino left. Now we saw, and ironic, you've got the shirt in the back. Minamino, he tried playing that false 9, it didn't work. Gakpo is trying to do it. It sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. But are we possibly in a situation, Dean, where we have too many good attacking players. Now, it's not a problem because obviously City do it. City can just fucking change anyone they want because they've got so many great players, but they find a way to make it work. Now, do you think it's a case of we've got too many players, but who do different things that the system's constantly changing and no one's really getting any benefit from it at the minute?
Look, I think going into the season with the 5/6 attackers we have with Bendo, even Jurgen doesn't 100% know what this team is capable of and how it will 100% play. We are in transition. This is a season of change. We've come from, no disrespect to the former midfield, I'll love them to the end. We've gone from a midfield that's very robust, it's athletic, but it wasn't very technical. We've literally flipped the coin. We are now all technical. You know what I mean? And we're not as physical, but now we're playing with a striker, not a false nine. The wingers are being more support rather than the strikers themselves. Salah is more of a creator than a goal scorer. It's until probably it might even be next season, it might even be over the summer, or it might even be the end of the season if we're lucky. We won't know what this final product will be. So I think having all these options, yes, I know what you're saying. It seems a bit of a headache because we don't know where 100% they'll fit in, especially in regards to Gakpo and Jota. But I think you need these options until you know what that final product will be. And plus, you'll need them options when we are in the Europa League and in the League Cup and FA Cup. Because if you've only got plan A, especially in a transition season, if you've only got plan A and that plan A is definitely not working, you need them other options. And they have proven at times, especially Jota, to be an ideal backup or a break glass option.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of it. And the interesting point here, Aaron Hickey, Rico Henry, Mikkel Damsgaard, Keane Lewis Potter, Kevin Shard, and Josh De Silva will all miss out tomorrow's game. Ivan Toney, of course, is still out. I mean, fine. I'm happy with that. Apparently, we've got no midfield, so I've got no issue with players on the pitch. That's fine with me. Remember, guys, just before we carry on, to like and subscribe to the channel. And we're also going to do a Q&A for the last 15 minutes of this. Anything you guys want to ask Dean or Jacob for the last 15 minutes, favorite goal, favorite players, favorite moments, anything you want to know. They are new to the channel, so make sure you get those questions in so we can get to know them a bit better. Paul Lindos asked, with Salah getting older, should we be looking to move him from right wing to the number 9? Jacob, this has been spoke about before, but do you think this is something we could maybe look at, or do you just don't fix what isn't broken?
See, how often Salah played down the middle for us? Because there was that time, wasn't there, in 2022 when we got Diaz, we moved Mane more central, and Mane I think Mane was brilliant. He was brilliant central. So it's whether we think it's going to happen again with Salah, or if we think if because Salah cutting in on his left, brilliant, isn't he? He's obviously fantastic, and he's unreal goal scorer, unreal finisher. It's just if we think he can carry on replicating those numbers when playing central, or if we leave him out wide, allow him to cut in, allow him to shoot with his left, etc. Because obviously going forward on the ball, he can get past players so good. Whereas I think if we do move him central, I do think we lose his creativity out on the right, out wide. So I think I'd say we leave him on the right personally, because I think he offers a lot more on the right. I think he's a lot of creativity, because he started to adapt more. Obviously, I get a lot more assists recently. Obviously, he's still pulling unreal goal scoring numbers off. So yeah, me personally, I'd leave him on the right.
I mean, yeah, I'm almost in the sort of thing with Salah. Like I said, don't fix what isn't broken. But I mean, Dean, is there a detriment to that where we're sort of catering maybe too much to Salah that other parts of the pitch are struggling? Like you said, left wing has been a bit hit and miss this season. I know we've not got Mane anymore, but if I said to you tomorrow, who would you be starting, Diaz or Jota? Who are you starting and why?
If Gomez starts at left back, then you have to play Diaz. You need width. You have to have width. If you start Tsimikas, you can argue Jota because he'll cut inside, and obviously Tsimikas provides that width. I think it literally comes down to that. But you start Diaz in my eyes. I think Jota's better off the bench than he is a starter. He started a few games and he hasn't had the same impact. I know he scored against Forest, but other than that, I don't think he's been as effective from starting than he has been coming off the bench. I think Diaz likes to run them ragged for 60, 70 minutes and then you can throw him on. But yeah, I'd be all over Diaz at left wing. Just in regards to Salah, the 4-2-3-1 thing, we did play it in, I think it was 18-19. Shaqiri played right mid and we played Salah up front. That is something we can obviously explore. Obviously not in this game, but in the future you could probably put Szoboszlai on the right side and probably Salah up front, and then I'd probably use Gakpo as a 10, maybe. But then that's, like I said, it's changing the system, changing the formation. Obviously not suited for this game.
Well, we saw Szoboszlai on the right against Bournemouth, I think it was, and he looked okay. I think with Szoboszlai, I think he's a bit more effective in the midfield for us. Whereas at Leipzig, I think he was better on the right. You know, he fits the system. He does the role that we ask of him in midfield, and maybe, like I said, it is something we can try. Gakpo in that number 10 role might be really good, but with so many players we've got, I mean, we haven't even talked. Thiago is still to come back if he ever decides to. But you know, well, apparently, he's someone we've had for a few years. But I make the comparison that it's like if I buy a Ferrari but don't fill it with petrol, and like I'm paying the road tax, I'm paying the insurance, but I can't use it. So what's the point? Like,
engine somewhere else.
He's there. Yeah, literally. We don't even. That's why Thiago didn't even get mentioned, to be honest. So we've got a couple of minutes left before we get into the Q&A, guys. Please remember to put your questions in for Dean and Jacob. I've got the first one actually here for you guys. I'm going to start with you, Jacob. Favorite player of all time for Liverpool? I mean, obviously Gerrard would probably be an obvious one, but is there anyone other than him if he is your choice?
I would probably say, as much as I hated when he left, I would say Torres for sure. Torres, because Torres properly introduced me to Liverpool. He properly introduced me to footy, and it was the reason I probably started watching playing. So I probably would say Torres. Torres, Suarez, they're my few that I'd like, but all-time favourite for me is Fernando Torres, even though he left us and joined Chelsea, and I haven't forgiven him since. But yeah, Torres for sure.
That was not the one I was expecting, to be honest. I mean, Dean, same question to you. Favorite all-time player for us?
Bar after he left, because what he did at the Bernabeu, not the Bernabeu, sorry, the Camp Nou. Yeah, Suarez, hands down, the greatest player ever seen live. Absolutely insane footballer. And I think if he stayed in the Premier League and he was in a better team than the Liverpool team he was in, I think he would have been hitting like crazy numbers for goals scoring. I've never seen a man score the goals he scored, the hat-trick against Norwich at Anfield, or the 4 goals he scored against Norwich at Anfield, and the header against West Brom from the edge of the box, things like that. Insane. Out of this world. I don't think we'll ever see that type of player again. I really don't.
He's still getting like 40 goals a season right now, isn't he? And how old is he? What, 38? And he's having injections in his knees. Like, what?
He's going to the MLS, I think, as well.
Yeah, into Miami. I'll be staying up to watch that. Like, why not all in the same team? I'll be well up for watching that. Apparently, we've got breaking news as well from one of our chats. Klopp said that Van Dijk has a little niggle in his knee and he was running for Adam. There's a chance for Brentford and he'll definitely be back after the international break. So apparently Van Dijk's got whatever's going around. Dean, quick thoughts on that before we get to some more questions to you guys. Who start, and then if Van Dijk's out?
If Van Dijk's out, it's got to be Matip and Konate. I don't think you can risk having as much as I do like Gomez. I don't think he's really shone at centre back when he's played there this season. It would have to be Matip and Konate. But I think if Van Dijk can get through the game, it's 70%, 60%, even 50%. He's starting, as long as the medical team don't turn around and say, "Luke, his knee's going to fall off if you play him." Other than that, you'd have to start him. Yeah. But other than that, it is Matip for me. I don't think Quansah's quite there for playing a full bloody Premier League game for me. Not starting anyway. I think coming on's fine, but not starting.
That's a big. Bonza was actually going to be the one that I said to start alongside Canate. I mean, Jacob, are you in agreement with that, or do you think Dean's right? We should be going for the more sort of experienced options.
No, I'd start Quansah myself. I think he started away at Wolves. He started away at Wolves, and we
Oh,
beat
did he?
them. Yeah, we beat
Ah,
them.
yes, of course, he did.
Yeah, and obviously, I wouldn't play Van Dijk if he's getting a niggle in his knee. Absolutely not, especially after that season when we missed him. Absolutely not. Wouldn't risk him if he's feeling any sort of pain in his knee. Not a chance. So I would start Quansah and Canate myself. I think Matip the other night wasn't too great. I don't think. I think for some of the goals he was a bit shaky. So I think Quansah and Canate myself.
Yeah, I mean, John Matip's one of those. He's very Jekyll and Hyde, where like the Tottenham game earlier this season, he looked like the best centre back in the world, and then he has the game the other night where he looked dreadful. Like he's so up and down. And whereas with Quansah, I can't think of a bad. Obviously, I know Toulouse was Toulouse. He didn't look great there, but prior to that, I can't think of a bad Quansah performance, so to speak. And I think you touched on it before, Jacob. You said about the pace of Visa and Buemo. I think pace from Quansah might sort of, it'll help us a bit better. It's going to be one of those games where Brentford are a bit more physical, more than tactical, I think, personally, and Matip might be sort of outpaced by the players around him. I'm going to pass this one to you, Dean, the Q&A. We've got questions coming in, so we're going to get around to them. If there's one player from the top six you want in the team, who would it be? I'm going to tweak it slightly because the top six at the moment, I think, has got some like really weird teams in it. Let me just get the list up for you. I might tweak it to the big six, so to speak. But so if I go to the Premier League table at the moment, the top six is. Oh no, actually no. We'll keep it as is. So we've got Man City, Arsenal, Tottenham, and I'll do the other six teams, not including those: Man City, Arsenal, Tottenham, Aston Villa, Manchester United, and Newcastle. One player from them, from one of those teams. Who are you picking?
I think there's only one option, especially for our situation. It's Rodri. Easy. It's got to be. It'd be perfect. He's probably the best number 6 in the world at the moment. A close second would be probably Bruno Guimaraes, just because I really like him. But I think Rodri is your shout straight off.
I mean, yeah, I think that's a fair. Jacob, are you agreeing? Do you agree with what Dean said there?
I will, 100% say Rodri for sure. But because I think Dean's already said it, I'll go for a different one. I'll try and keep it a bit different. I'll go. It pains me to say it. I'm not a fan of the guy. He cringes me out. But I'll go Declan Rice. I think for the 6, I think he's got on the ball. I'd take him. I would take him.
It's a shout.
I mean, if it's a case of I can pick one player, I do agree. I think Rodri is the perfect candidate. But thinking for the future, seeing how things go this summer, I'd have Bukayo Saka if Salah does end up leaving. I mean, just as a contingency, like just in case he goes, I think Saka would be the closest we could get to a replacement of Salah, and I'd love to see him in the team personally. We've also got, I believe, a £5 super chat, so thank you very much. I've never actually had one of them on the stream before, so really, really do appreciate that. Thank you very much, Jamie Ross. I think he's either saying Jacob's size or Jacob, what's your size? So...
No, that's my name. My name's Jacob Size, yeah. So that's me.
Oh, right. I thought your face or something.
No, it's my full name, but Jamie.
Oh, I'm having a stinker tonight. Right, this one's for me apparently, but I'll put it to everyone. Lou will have a better career over the next 10 years. Quansah or Bajcetic? I'd honestly say Quansah because I think Bajcetic is a bit too injury prone, and I think you're more likely to sign a midfielder to replace Bajcetic than you are to sign a centre back to sign Quansah. I mean, Dean, what's your thoughts on that?
I try to take some sort of inspiration from Jurgen Klopp, what he said in his press conferences as well. He loves both of these lads dearly, you can tell. Last year, Bajcetic was a hot property. You just come straight in and he looked like a Premier League footballer. Like you say, you touched on it in regards to his injuries are a concern. But I think the club are taking the best approach to that now by letting him develop physically before throwing him back into Premier League football again. They want to avoid any long-term problems, stress fractures, that type of thing, as we've already seen with a few players. I still say Bajcetic just because of what I've seen him play at a high level consistently. As much as I do like Kwanzaa a lot, he's only played a handful of games, and I do think he'll have a future. But I'd like to see how Bajcetic develop because he's already tall, athletic, and what is he, 19, 18, 19?
20 now, I think.
It's 20 now.
Like
yeah, give him a couple more, 3-4 more years development. Obviously, while playing football as well, he could turn into something special. As we know, the DM market is broken really now. There's nobody out there for decent money or the right age. He could be special if we let him just learn and develop. So I would go with Bajcetic, but I do agree that Kwanzaa could be special if we might develop the right way.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob, are you agreeing with Dean or are you agreeing with me? You don't have to. This isn't a case of if you disagree with me, I'll kick you. Like, no pressure. It's your choice. What are you saying?
Dean hates me.
No. Go on, kick.
I am going to agree with you, Lou. I think Kwanzaa for sure. I think obviously he's from Warrington. He's nearby. I think obviously the thing with we had it with it's kind of obvious comparison. There we go. That's the way comparison. We had Xabi Alonso, we've had Bajcetic, and we get these midfielders from the likes of Spain, from the likes of wherever, and part of them thinks like as soon as Madrid comes calling, as soon as Barcelona comes calling, they're off straight away. So I think obviously, we will get a good few years out of Bajcetic, but I think there will be a time where I think he feels he'd want to go back to Spain. I think a big club in Spain will 100%. I think Madrid will 100% come after him for sure. And I think if he'd be on the first plane over there. And to be fair, wouldn't blame him at all. Spanish local, and obviously the biggest team in Spain comes after you. You're obviously you're gonna go. And I think Kwanzaa, we will have him for a long, long time. Should he, hopefully, Madrid not go after him too. But you never know. But me personally, I'm gonna agree with you and say Kwanzaa.
Yeah, it's a good choice there. I'm glad you picked that way. Next one, football questions. Everyone in the chat, by the way. So any football questions you want to know, but I mean, curry or pizza? It's curry. Obviously, it's going to be curry. I mean, can everyone agree with that, or has anyone got anything else that they want to say for that?
It's better.
Pizza.
Oh, it is curry. Come on, get a vindaloo. It's fine. Apparently, you're. Paul wants to know as well, Jacob, size 10.
Nah, I can maybe get in a 10, but I think it is about an 11 and a half.
Right. We need more. Everyone, please start asking football questions.
Disguise it. I'd like to think I matter, yeah. I would say matter. Someone said Jacob size on the drum because of a video going around on Twitter about me on the Toulouse drums. So I appreciate you acknowledging that. Thank you very much for that comment.
Hey, that's sick. Oh. All right then, Dean. So next one for you. I think Gakpo Rhodes. Okay. Gakpo needs a loan spell next season. He'll come back better than ever. I mean, is loaning him out really a sort of something we should be looking at all? I mean, yeah. What's your thoughts on that? Would you just be keeping him, or is there anyone else you'd maybe want to get rid of? Or
as it stands, you have to keep him, but I understand what the acknowledgement with that because, as I said before, we don't know his role and where he fits in the side at the moment. But next summer we're going to have already another, not a major rebuild, but a few problems to solve. Will Salah stay? Will we have to replace Van Dijk long term because it would be 1 year left on his contract? It'd be 32. I don't think we should be loaning anybody out. Not so we know what the system will be long term, the team will be long term. So I think for now you stick and get on with it. Basically, see how he gets on.
I mean, Just before we get on to the starting 11 predictions, then last question. I'll put this one to you, Jacob, first. Do you think Carvalho will still have a career at Liverpool, or should we sell him? I mean, it's an interesting one, that, to be fair. What's your thoughts with regards to Fabio Carvalho?
I don't know, because from when I've seen him play, he hasn't been bad at all. But there must be behind the scenes stuff that's going on which we don't know about. Because Klopp just stopped playing him completely, stopped featuring him in squads, and Leipzig he's barely featured for them over there as well. So I do feel there's stuff behind the scenes which we don't know about, which goes on, and it's kind of a bit like which could obviously affect him. And obviously, if he doesn't sort them out, then not a chance. He stands a chance of having a career here, because obviously you can't have like stuff going on like that. So I personally, unless he sorts his, if it's his attitudes, if it's maturity, unless he sorts that out, then I don't see him having a career personally.
Dean, do you agree with that? I mean, what's your feelings about Fabio Carvalho?
To be fair, I don't know why we signed him. He's a number 10. We don't really play with a number 10, an out-and-out number 10 anyway. I'm sorry, he's a really good, talented lad, but as Jacob touched on, there's clearly some attitude problems. He's not playing at Leipzig either. He's only played about 100 minutes in so many games. And I don't see a long-term future at Liverpool for him. I really don't. Yeah, he's a strange one. When we signed him, and I looked, and obviously he's very talented. I looked, he's not really rapid, so he couldn't play out wide, and he's not bulky, so he can't play in midfield. Similar issue we had with Elliott at the start, but Elliott's bulked up a bit, and he seems to be a bit more naturally suited to our midfield now. But I can't see where it's going to go with him, other than probably just selling him. Apparently, we wanted to loan him in the summer to a Premier League side, and he said no, he wanted to go to Leipzig. He was adamant he'd only go there, which is fair enough. He knows what he wants, but we wanted to go to Premier League side to see if he can suit the league, which made sense. But straight away disagreement, and I don't think that's sat down well with us. And I think he will be sold on, unless he does get another loan move if it continues to not work well with him. But I can't see him being here in 2 years' time, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he could have done with going back on loan to Fulham, I think, when they came up to the Prem. He really could have had that, could have enjoyed a season there. And Carvalho now, he's starting to look like a very FSG sign, and sort of buy these young players who are going to appreciate and value, and then just sell them on in a couple of years' time. And if it's going to work in that regard, fine. But I really like Carvalho. The Newcastle goal that he scored. I think he came on against Man City last season as well as a sub, and he looked really good in that game. So, the jury's out. I agree, though. I don't think it's going to, if he's out on loan now after only one season, I don't think it's going to work. And finally, just before we finish, did he score
in the cup? Swear he scored in that Carabao game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So I mean, he turns up in the big games. So yeah, like I said, it's just a shame. Hopefully, it can work, but like I said, the fact he's only been there one season, we're already loaning him out and just sort of going, no, I just don't see it really happening for him at the moment.
Just a quick one in regards to that.
Go on, sorry.
Has anybody ever gone out on loan from a Jurgen Klopp side for a year and come back and actually stayed in the team?
I think did Kwanzaa go on loan? Obviously, I don't really know.
Yeah, he played Bristol Rovers I think he played 20 games for Bristol Rovers. But I mean, like, from the first team? Because obviously his academy into
Well, Nat Phillips did, but the only reason he played is because Van Dijk and everyone else got injured. That's the only one. Yeah. Origi did. He went to Wolfsburg, and then he came back.
Yeah, of course he did, yeah.
But I mean, that's only one. That's the only real example. So, yeah. He went. Yeah, he went to Southampton. But didn't we sell?
He did.
Sell him?
No, so he went to Southampton in the COVID year, and in the COVID year, after the COVID year is obviously the quadruple year where we tried.
Yeah.
That's it, yes.
So yeah, two examples there, and just
because if it is an attitude problem, then we know with Klopp, as soon as he hits that button, it's like, nah, get out. I'm not interested, type of thing. Like Sacco, I know that's a different level, but as soon as you've lost his trust, it's out the door, isn't it? I'm just wondering if it is along those lines.
Yeah, he's not someone to mess around and sort of. He will just go, "I don't want you." Bye. He did that when he came in. He did that to Balotelli straight away. He just went out the door. Don't care. See you later. So he's like you said, Carvalho, and Carvalho's not going to learn what Klopp wants at another club. Like he'd have to be with us. I think that's why Badge maybe hasn't been loaned out because he's adapting to the system, and I don't see Carvalho coming back and just jumping straight in. Not without some real fences being mended. Right. So just before we shoot, then, guys, just final thought, Jacob. You're starting 11 tomorrow. Who starts? Who's the squad?
I do think this is kind of different from both of your guys. So I'm also going to say Alisson. I'm going to say Gomez, Gomez left back, and I'm going to say Kwanzaa, Kanate, Trent, and I'm going to go for Endo, Harvey Elliott, and Szoboszlai. And I'm going to go for Salah, Nunes, and Jota. I'm not going to say Diaz because I think Diaz played the full 90, or not full 90. He played a chunk of the game on Thursday. Gakpo Rose, I don't think he'll be able to finish the story and get into the team on tomorrow. I think obviously he'll be in the squad. I think he'll come on, but I don't think he'll be starting. So I think Jota will play. So I think it'll be Jota, Salah, and Nunes front three because I'm a fan of that front three myself. I can't lie. As much as I do like Jota going into the starting in the middle, I think Jota and Nunes can swap throughout the game and overlap each other. So Jota can go down the middle, Nunes can go on the left, Nunes can go in the middle, Jota can go on the left. Whereas Diaz, I think Diaz is strictly on the left, as good as he is, and I do think he'll feature. I do think I'd personally start Jota tomorrow.
Dean, your starting 11 for tomorrow.
Alisson obviously in goal. Trent, Konate, Van Dijk if he's fit. If not, Kwanzaa. Gomez at left back. Endo, Szoboszlai. If Gravenberch is fit, obviously him. If not, unfortunately, it'll have to be Elliott. And then it'll be Salah, Nunes, and Diaz for me. If Gomez starts, Diaz has to start for me. Just for width.
I'm going to go. Oh, sorry, go on.
I would say you need that width on that side. I agree with what Jacob said. Jota could start because, like I say, Diaz played 80 to 80 odd minutes midweek. But if Jota starts, then Tsimikas has to start for me.
It's really difficult. Alisson's a shoe-in. Trent, Konate. I think Van Dijk will probably get the go-ahead because it's the international break straight afterwards and he's going to rest anyway if he does have any problems. Left back, I'm going to say Tsimikas. I think he'll start. It was either him or Chambers. I don't think Gomez is going to start. And then midfield's going to be Endo, Szoboszlai, and I think Gakpo is going to go in midfield. And then I think it's going to be Nunez, Jota, and Salah. That's, it's. I didn't realize we had so many injuries, but yeah, so that's why I think Gakpo is going to drop into midfield. That left back position, I think Tsimikas just offers a bit more going forward than Gomez, but he's just not as good defensively. But if we've got Endo there, who's a bit more of a defensive minded player, maybe that'll sort of cover the gaps. And Gakpo, just for that little bit of creativity, I suppose. It's a bit of a crapshoot at the moment, but yeah. But yeah, that and score predictions. Jacob, in just really quick, your score prediction. What do you think it's going to be tomorrow?
I'm gonna say 3-1. I think we'll go 1-0 down first, but I think we'll have enough to come back into the game. Blaming third minute, nailed on.
Okay. I have the confidence in that. Go on, Dean, what's yours?
I'm going to be a bit pessimistic, but I'm going to say 2-1. I think it's going to be a bit nervy tomorrow, depending on who scores first. But I think we'll get the job done. But it might be a bit scrappy.
I mean, I'm saying it. I'm going to be the pessimist. I'm going to say 2-2 draw. I know. I'm sorry, but I can't. If I said we won every single game, I'd be like, was it Mark Lawrenson? And I think he went like 10 years predicting our games and he said we'd win every single one or something daft like that. Like, no, that's 2-2 draw. I think Brentford are going to go at us, and it's going to be one of those scrappy games that we play against them. So just before we shoot, guys, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button. That is our stream for today. I just want to thank Dean and Jacob so much for jumping on. I think they've got through today with flying colours. Fantastic work. We're so close to 10k subscribers, so just make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. On top of that as well, we have streams every single day at 7:30. There will be a post-match stream tomorrow as well as the 7:30 stream, I believe, but everything will be posted beforehand. There's a 2 a.m. stream UK time on a Tuesday for the American audience. And on top of that, a new podcast has just been released with myself and Damo, the You'll Never Talk Alone podcast, episode 5, I believe. So make sure you go check that out. And from myself, Dean and Jacob, thank you very much. And hopefully tomorrow is a win and we don't get my result. So we'll see you guys soon. And we've got the 5 seconds once the stream ends to sit in awkward silence.